Happy Friday, everybody, and welcome back to Brown Bag Bets, powered by BetSports. We are your daily dose of quick hit handicapping and sports betting picks. I'm Alex Christensen, back from a short break. Joining me, as always, Mr. Andy Molitor, and as is Friday tradition, to try to get as much sports and stuff as we can get in here. It's honestly mostly because there's very few tennis picks and stuff like that this late in the week. We weave in a third man, Mr. Matthew Rooney. Gentlemen, how we doing?
Good. It's Friday. Now that, but I realize it is the Lenten season.
Oh yeah.
Thank you.
Fish
I don't
sandwich
thank
day.
I don't thank Catholics all that much because I just don't
not
have
worth
enough
it.
reasons to. But thank you for and I'm Catholic. I was raised Catholic. I mean, I did a lot of this as a youth too. But
I feel like you say thank you to me a lot.
yeah, I'm a little more. God, is this a Catholic podcast? I think we're all raised and baptized this way, so we all did some Lent shit when we were younger. I don't partake as much in the church part of it anymore, but I sure as shit had some fish fries on this part of the year. And honestly, up here, a lot of places have just determined, like, hey, why don't we just have fish fries all year round on Fridays because people like that. So
They're good.
it's
You're in the heart of fish fry country.
Yeah,
you got a walleye fish fry nearby?
Yeah, there's walleye. A lot of them will do, there's a bunch of different kinds, but the local bar, and I point this way, like I can see it if I poke my head out of the office. They make their own batter, and they get some really good fish flown in. Fuck. So that is I know. I texted my wife. It's date
Andy's
night.
already thinking about lunch.
Yeah, last time I did date night, me and the wife we ordered a bottle of wine. We got the big boat full of sushi. I don't know if I shared that photo. And I said, date night tonight. And she said, oh, good. I'm like, yeah, it's not going to be the same as like the bottle of wine and sushi thing. Probably going to a bar to get fish fry. She's like, oh, okay. So it's still a date. So
Okay.
I'm gonna hold off on not eating fish. I'm not gonna do the fish thing for lunch. I'll just take it easy, have a salad. So because a lot of these are all you care to eat.
All you care to eat. I guess
so. I'll get into that.
Cannons.
Don Pla, who is using the picture of, I believe that's Major Payne.
It is.
That's a throwback movie. I haven't seen that in forever.
I like Dayton.
You don't need to revisit it.
Oh, let me take a look at that Dayton price. I'll get back to you on that, Don. We'll start. What do you want to start with?
I think we're supposed to start with
golf. I think Dan's got golf
actually,
queued up there.
You want to talk about golf while you check out Dayton, or should I talk about NBA?
Are we going to see some carnage today, by the way, Andy? Aren't the winds supposed to be really high after yesterday when they kind of tore it up?
Oh, I love
that. I think there's going to be – they watered the piss out of it this morning. Like the course is playing sort of easy for some people. I think they really went after the greens, made them easier to catch today. And I think a lot of it came down to the fact that the wind is going to kick up pretty heavy in Orlando this afternoon. And if they didn't, those greens would have been just scorched dry by the time we hit like 2 p.m. So I don't blame them for watering, but it should be much, much tougher in the afternoon wave here. And truthfully, I almost just went and looked at this. I don't like black box betting or blindly betting anything, but I almost just went and looked at all the matchups. And I was going to pull in a database of like ball speed, and just see if there were any matchups that had huge disparities, like, 20 mile per hour difference between two guys as far as club speed goes and ball speed, which I keep saying club speed. I mean ball speed. Because it's helpful when you're cutting through 25 mile an hour winds to be a guy who hits it really hard and fast. And so I was going to dig into that. I don't want to get too weird with it. I had one I liked here. You can see it on the screen if you're watching. Tom Hoagie. Tommy Tables over Lucas Herbert. Kind of based off my modeling for the week, how I looked at these. A lot of this is approach. And both of these guys, I don't think the driving distance advantage for Herbert is going to be as advantageous, especially hitting into some of these headwinds. They're both going to struggle with this. And the around the green might hurt Hoagie here if these greens dry out too much this afternoon, but his approach game is just miles and miles better. I like this price. I found this over at Bookmaker. So taking this for the afternoon. And honestly, if you're betting into anything this afternoon, you're taking your life into your own hands for real, because you can see some real weird golf this afternoon. Some guys are just way better playing in conditions like this. For me, most of my most of my afternoon is just going to be, and by afternoon, I mean the next hour or so, cheering against Hideki, who is, I have a matchup, Tom Kim versus Hideki for the tournament. And it was tight, but now Hideki's struggling a little. And he is currently sitting on the supposed cut line. The cut line, right now, Data Golf has it kind of 50-50 between +1 and +2. I don't know how much they're factoring in weather. A lot of, I don't know if they use weather data for that or if it's just kind of the modeling they're doing for the players remaining. I'd lean more 60-40 towards +2. So I'm cheering for +1, and I'm cheering for Hideki to put a couple in the drink here because, God damn it, I just like getting my money back on Fridays. Like cashing these matchups 2 days early, it just feels that much better.
So do you get paid out then if Kim makes the cut, Hideki misses? Do you get paid out then on Friday night, or do you still have to wait for the tournament to be over?
Depends on the book.
Okay.
A lot of them will hold it. Like Bet Online pays them out. I think Bookmaker holds on to it, but it's still nice that like, hey,
yeah, it's nice to have that win, but I just wonder if that actually hits the account or not.
Yeah. Speaking of wins that need to hit the account, Bovada, I bet I talked about this when I talked about the tournament earlier in the week. I did bet some Kennesaw State just to make the final at -135, and they held on last night, and they're in the final, hosting the final. You guys should cash that, because I know it's not today, but come on, just give me my
give him his money. He'll give some of it back.
It makes me nervous. It's not even the money. It's like it makes me nervous. Like, did I read it wrong? Is there something like? Was there some sort of fine print? I get paranoid about shit. So, go Owls. Let's go NBA, because it's Noops is back.
Might as well. We got 10 games tonight, a really big slate. 3 of them I have looks in. Quickly touch on some of the other ones. Orlando Magic versus the Charlotte Hornets. The Hornets are without LaMelo Ball for the rest of the year. So Magic laying 4 points. Looks about right, but lean towards our Orlando team. Portland Trailblazers, 7.5-point dogs to producer Dan's Atlanta Hawks. As odd as it is to say this, the Hawks deserve to be 7.5-point favorites tonight. I'm not sure much more, so that number looked just about right to me. Phoenix Suns play your Chicago Bulls, Matt, and people have been betting the Bulls. A lot of money came in here. The Bulls opened 5.5. They're down to 3.5 at this point. I wonder if maybe we'll see a Kevin Durant rest spot or something like that. But yeah, it seems like it'd be a tough spot for your Bulls. I would stay away from that game. Something's up.
Gonna happily watch it, maybe live bet it, maybe throw in a Vooch first basket score, see what happens. But I think overall that 5.5 is, I'm not going near that.
And again, all the way down to 3.5.
Yeah,
so
3.5.
Something's up there. The Thunder 1-point favorites at home over the Jazz. Would love to bet that, but also would love Shai Gilgeous-Alexander to be playing. Was hoping to bet the Sacramento Kings this morning. They're at 6. I had that at 5. Again, should be a really good spot for them against the Lakers. If you don't already, maybe look around, see if you can find a Mike Brown Coach of the Year ticket. It's starting to get into the minus juice here, but the better and better Sacramento plays, the less good Coach of the Year candidates we have. That might be worth a little bit of a sprinkle. Denver Nuggets against the Memphis Grizzlies. Nuggets 5-point favorites. Again, right kind of on my number there. Warriors Pelicans. The Warriors -4. Lean towards the Pelicans there, but I'll leave that one go. But as I said, 3 bets I actually did make. We'll start with the first one here. I'm going to take the biggest underdog of the night, the Brooklyn Nets, who have struggled to cover some numbers here the last few weeks, are getting 11 points against the Boston Celtics. And in a way, it's a very movable object against a very stoppable force. The Celtics have struggled to cover really any number the last couple months with the injuries to Jaylen Brown and things like that. It's just been really tough for this team. And, they just don't seem as locked in, and the offense isn't nearly as efficient as it was to start the year. The 3-point shots really just aren't falling for them. I had this closer to like 7.5. It was one of those things where there was such a big difference. I had to poke around a little bit. And again, you look, the Nets have failed to cover, I think, more than once, kind of since the deadline here at this point. So it could be a tough spot, but 11 is far too many. So I'll take 11 with the Nets. The New York Knickerbockers, as much as it sickens me as a Philadelphia 76ers fan to say this, I've been playing some really great basketball over the last couple of weeks. The addition of Josh Hart has been good. This is one of the few teams where everyone is healthy. They're locked in, playing their best basketball. They go into Miami tonight. It looks like Jimmy Butler's going to miss. Kyle Lowry is going to miss here tonight. So just not enough firepower for Miami. And, even if Butler plays, kind of have this right on this number. I had the Knicks -2 if Butler plays. So, maybe not the best bet, but I don't think we get in any trouble if we end up being wrong there with Butler playing. Should be a nice spot for the Knicks. And your Timberwolves, Andy, and play against the Los Angeles Lakers tonight in LA. No LeBron James, which has generally been a little bit better for the Lakers offense, but still way too few points here in this number. Anthony Edwards should have a great game tonight. I don't know if the Lakers necessarily have a great perimeter defender. Probably Jared Vanderbilt will get him, but I think Edwards should be able to have a good night tonight. I had this in the 230s, 232, 233, so 228, even 229. Anything lower, that or lower looks good. Should be a lot of points tonight in Los Angeles. So Nets +11, Knicks -2.5, Timberwolves Lakers over 228. And Holt, I don't know if Emmanuel Quickley is going to win Sixth Man of the Year. He sure is just flying up the odds board. I think it was like from 125 down to the 20s. I think he's single digits at this point.
Some of the players are getting starting jobs and just ruining their chances at being Sixth Man of the Year. That's a thing that happens.
Yeah, our buddy Whale Capper's cohort, Jay Croucher, has really been pumping that big. So got a nice number on Quickley out there. I can't think of a worse bet.
Yeah. All right, I'm doing some Dayton research in the background here, but I want to do hockey first because I want to bet on everything this weekend. Mostly because I looked at I like John Jones. John Jones is one of my favorite UFC fighters. Like, I'm actually pumped to, I was going to say buy you. I'm not buying the UFC pay-per-view. I will illegally stream it for sure on my phone while I'm watching other stuff, but I will be watching UFC this Saturday. So I'm pumped about that. I'm like, God, I should just bet on everything. So hockey, baseball, basketball, preseason, everything. I don't even know. Maybe G League. I don't care. I'll bet on quite a bit. So I'm going to need some hockey wagers, Matthew.
I got your back here. Your Minnesota Wild don't play tonight, unfortunately, so I don't have a pick. I don't believe the Flyers do too. I still don't get why the NHL has such small slates on Friday. It seems like good opportunity to have some games when people are watching TV, but I digress. We were 1-2 last night, missed on the 2 goal scorer props, but we hit big with the Stars -1.5 against the Blackhawks. I honestly think the next however many games, we're going to be going like fading the Blackhawks on the alternate puck line. Like, take the other team -2.5. They've traded literally everybody from that roster for the most part. That said, not playing tonight. We're going to go first with the Oilers team total over. I think it's 6 out of their last 8 games they've gone 4 or more goals, and I think in general it's 8 out of their last 9 have hit the over in the game, which is 7 tonight. I didn't want to take the over itself because Winnipeg isn't playing very well and has been lacking in the goal scoring department the last few weeks. But I think Edmonton's got a real chance to get to 4 or 5 goals here and win this one like 5-2 over a struggling Winnipeg team at home. And then the Devils -1.5 at +222. I just thought this is really good value and too good a value to pass up on a New Jersey team that's playing really well. They've won 5 out of their last 6. Their last 2 games, they just came off the bye, the week-long bye, and beat the Avalanche 7-5. Prior to that, they won their game 7-0. So they're playing some really good hockey, and the bye didn't really even phase them. I like them the -1.5 at this value because of Dan's throwing up graphics for me there.
No, that was
Andy throwing up graphics.
College hockey too.
Oh, I just saw college. Yeah, I think the Big Ten tournament's going on, which is always kind of fun to watch.
Yeah.
But Vegas Devils are in Vegas tonight. Vegas just traded for Jonathan Quick, which might be a name you know, Andy. Longtime goalie for the Kings, won a couple cups there, Team USA goalie.
I even know who that is.
He's not very good anymore. He was a Kings backup and then got shockingly traded from the Kings to the Blue Jackets. Kind of got a big middle finger from the Kings. They didn't really even clear it with him much and moved him to the Blue Jackets, and the Blue Jackets right away traded him to Vegas. He might get a chance in net tonight as a debut game. Here you go at home. And I think that might be a little bit of a mistake, might be a little bit early going up against a good team in New Jersey. Again, not sure he's playing tonight. That's just speculation on we just traded for him. Let's see if we can get him in net, get him comfortable early. So I like the Devils in this spot, especially at that value. +222 is too good of an opportunity to pass up on a Devils team that's playing some really good hockey as of late. I
agree.
Thank you, Andy. That's some dynamite analysis on your own.
Also, excuse me. I know the playoffs are anything can happen, but it's best of 7 with home ice, and is Boston just gonna like wreck the East, even with what?
No, I don't. Boston's got to. I mean, Boston should be the favorite to win. They've been the best team in the East all year, but the Rangers, and I'm not just saying the Rangers. I think the East is going to be wide open because it's just been an arms race. Like we talk about Tampa, who's a little bit under the radar. Tampa has the best goaltender in the world, and Andrei Vasilevsky, that's a name I brought up on the show a bunch in the last couple of playoffs. Like he's capable of getting hot and just winning a series. Like we've seen him do it before in the playoffs the last couple of years. Same thing with Igor Shesterkin on the Rangers. Like you can be the worst team, but if you have a goalie get hot at the right time, you can beat anybody. Like I said it too. Dallas had Jake Ottinger was a rookie goalie last year. Like he got hot and forced a 7-game series with the Flames, despite getting outshot like 2-1 every game. So anything can really happen. And ESPN is not kidding about hockey. I see that comment.
I know I have a guy I talk hockey with sometimes, and I watched part of a game the other day, and I was high, but I DM'd him, and I'm like,
I was high when I said that.
I'm like, hey, do goalies really need skates? And he just berated me for a while about how dumb that was.
Yes,
yeah, fine. And then while he's doing it, I saw a goalie skate behind the goal to knock one out. I'm just like, they got to have shoes.
Well, they got to play the puck. They also have to push off to get post to post. You can't. I know. You kind of need the blade.
He explained in great detail all the reasons I was an idiot. But,
yeah.
Andy, do you know less about hockey than anybody in the history of Minnesota?
I think
it's honestly got. He's got to be bottom 5.
It's staggering.
And it's funny. We went to the local. It's funny. It's right here by the golf course I play sometimes. There's a track. They flood the running track here, and you can skate around the track. So I went skating for the first time in many years. Oof.
Not good.
My form. I wish I had a hockey.
Did you stay?
I wish I had a hockey stick because I could lean forward a little and use it.
Did you stay on your feet or did you go down?
Oh yeah, I didn't fall. I can still
there you
skate.
Go. That's a start. That's a start.
The rental skates didn't fit very well. That was a little rough. So,
Andy, time's still running out for you to cash in on the bet, or not the bet, but what you owe me. You still got to take me to a Blackhawks game.
This is true. Maybe next week.
Hey, tickets just got dirt cheap too.
I know they traded.
I
was waiting for the trade deadline.
So before the trade deadline, attendance wasn't quite when they were really good levels, but they were getting 18,000, 17,000. The United Center seats 21, and there were a lot of people doing what I did a couple weeks ago too, trying to get there to see, Kane, and if Taves was playing one more time. Last night was the first game without Kane. There was 6,500 people in the building. Just no one was there anymore.
Oh, we're gonna be right on the glass.
Oh yeah.
I don't even care. All right. I'm going to a hockey game, guys. I'm gonna learn a lot about hockey.
Come on, let's do it.
Basketball.
Get you a beer and we'll teach you hockey.
I don't know if our guy Don stuck around. If he didn't, I don't care. I'm going to talk about Dayton anyway. Dayton is in a weird spot. The Atlantic 10 playoffs start soon. This is kind of it. This is the final game, and they're in a goofy spot because they cannot move in the seeding. They are the 2 seed no matter what. Now, I know you don't just, all right, let's play our backups, and we don't care about this game. But the motivation in this is very, very minimal, especially considering they should be one of the favorites to win the tournament with them and VCU, and they're not getting in without winning this tournament. Maybe VCU has a small case, but just let me look. Ken Palm has them 69th. Torvik has them 56th. Some other places have them low 50s. So 68 teams, right, guys? Get in?
Yeah.
Well, 22 of those teams are from conferences that would never get in otherwise. So you got to knock off 22 off that number right away. So you're down to 45, 46. You essentially have to be within the top 45 kind of to get in. And every upset you get in a weird tournament where somebody who shouldn't be in the tournament wins their conference tournament in a multi-bid league, which happens once or twice a year, knocks that number down a little bit too. So Dayton is not the spot where they could get in at large at this point. So they need to win their conference tournament. So I'm a little hesitant to back them at a spot where the motivation has to be firmly focused on next week. And St. Louis is in a spot where I think they could move up to the 3 seed if they win. I don't know if they actually need help. So it looks like it's going to be a close game one way or the other. I mean, maybe just a live betting opportunity if you get weird with it. But my eyes will be turned to our nation's capital, to the Washington District of Columbia, where we'll have one of our fun neutral site tournaments starting up, honestly, pretty soon. Although the game that's starting like now, there's a lot of these where I'm like, hey, this tournament starts, in 6 hours, but does it really? Like the West Coast Conference tournament started yesterday. None of those games were of consequence. They were all teams that were 200-1 or more to win a conference that has 10 teams. Like they're just the pigtail games. They don't matter. Gonzaga's odds didn't change because of what Pacific did. So kind of the same thing. We have Monmouth and Hampton playing in 2 hours. They're the 12 and the 13 seed. They're, they have like 8 conference wins between them. It's not going to matter what happens here. So the real games do start tomorrow. And I did look at this. I'm pretty excited to kind of fade the top teams a little. I know that there are conferences like I just spoke about with Gonzaga and St. Mary's where they really, really, give them everything besides home court, honestly. But hey, have 3 buys. You're already in the semis. Good. We just want you to get into the tournament easily. Like there are conferences that, hey, you get home court throughout. If you're good, you get reseeding to make sure you're playing the shitty teams. We're going to give you 2 buys anyway. Like they do everything they can to get their top teams. And the CAA doesn't as much. While they do have some buys for the top 4, there's still 4 teams that have the exact same buy, and it's all on a neutral. So I am looking at fading your 2 top teams being Furman, Samford, kind of UNC Greensboro as well. Or, God damn it, now I'm talking about the SoCon. Excuse me. Back to the CAA. Well, it's the same kind of thing. We have two or 3 top teams there, but your 2 top teams are Hofstra and Charleston. They're both even money, 2-1, so we're in there. And then there's a precipitous drop off. But I do like Towson, and I wrote about it in my little article. I have often bet against teams who rely on the 3-pointer in these tournaments because they can lose to fucking anybody if they're super reliant on the 3 and they just go cold at a neutral site like this. So I don't love teams like that. Northern Iowa comes to mind a few years ago where they lost right away in the tournament down in the MVC. So my argument for Towson is 3-point shooting, but they're not reliant on it. You can look at that. You can look at stats. It's basically a ratio stat of how many 3-point attempts do they make compared to all of their attempts. Is it super high? Or are they constantly just jacking them up? They're not, but they're one of the best 3-point shooting teams, honestly, in the country. But for sure in their league. They have a decent draw. They have beaten Hofstra this year. They took Charleston to overtime. Their offensive metrics are not that far from the top 2. And you're getting a 7-1 for a team that gets the exact same buy as the top 2 teams. They get a fairly easy draw. And like I said, everything's equal here on a neutral site. So taking a little swing. I think this is my longest outright bet I've made so far is a 7-1 here. Towson Tigers, CAA. That's all I got. I'll have SoCon. Boy, I almost gave it away on the SoCon guys. I was talking about Furman and Greensboro and Samford. That's a fun one too. But
Furman and Greensboro and Sanford. Sounds like characters in that show.
Yeah, it does sound like they do sound like characters. We'll get to that soon. And then my Summit League, which is super boring because it's the only league that has a team that went undefeated in conference play. There's an 18-0 Oral Roberts team that is just a lot better than everybody else. So,
what are their odds to win the tournament?
This year's Vermont.
They're like minus a bunch. I think minus 200-300 at some places. I'll have to look again. But it's another one too where they don't give just real quick to the Summit. They don't give them any benefits. Like there's no real buys for most of the teams. And not only that, but hey, what's your reward for going 18-0? Go play in South Dakota where SDSU and USD play. They all have to head up to Sioux Falls, so they don't get home games or anything. Oral Roberts should win the tournament, but will they? Tune in to find out. By tune in, follow me on Twitter. I'll tweet it out later.
Yeah, Andy's got it. Andy's got it covered.
Yeah, the Colgate price in the Patriot League was steep, but I gladly laid minus 220 there. I didn't care. I couldn't make a case for anybody else. Just riding the toothpaste to money. So let's go Indiana State. Let's go Morehead State. Let's go Radford today. I got 3 teams playing so far. And where's that leave us? It's Friday, and I don't know where the WTA is playing. I barely paid attention. I've been watching a little of this Medvedev match, but hockey or tennis has been low on my priority this week.
We're in Mexico and Texas, Andy. I guess you haven't been paying attention. Peter in the tennis chat has actually been going to watch the ladies in Austin, Texas.
Oh, God damn it. I should have known that. He did go to a bunch of those.
So let's jump in. A handful of matches, 4 in each tournament today, and 2 parlays I put together here. As I started to look at these lines, a lot of the totals look pretty solid. Even some of the first set totals have finally started to get into place there. Didn't see too many of an edges there, but a couple big favorites in each event that really look like they should be even bigger. And actually, I'll start on the bottom here because this match in Austin here, Marta Kostyuk is going to start against Annalena Friedsam just as we finish the show here. I'm looking at Kostyuk minus 275. I had this closer minus 400 against Annalena Friedsam, a player who a little bit of a veteran, if you will, of the tour, kind of a journeywoman, if you will, of the WTA, is having a nice week here, but is absolutely going to be outclassed by one of the better young players, someone who really has done well in some of these smaller events and continues to play great tennis as long as she doesn't run up into, kind of the WTA elite, which is definitely not happening here today. So happy to take her and then put it together with Danielle Rose Collins, which, it is a week here before a big tournament in Indian Wells, but so, a lot of big players are taking this week off or maybe not as locked in, but we've got some time. That Indian Wells tournament doesn't start till the middle of next week. And Danielle Collins, because of her quick exit from the Australian Open, lost a ton of ranking points. I mean, is struggling to be even seeded in some of these events. So kind of needs to win this tournament, honestly, to keep herself in a comfortable position for the rest of the year. She goes up against Anna Kalinskaya, who she did beat at the Australian Open. Yes, it was a 3-set match, but, just kind of one match. And you go back and look, Collins was honestly lucky to win, given how she was playing at that point, and has been playing really great this week. I'm looking at minus 200 on her. I had this closer to 280. So put the two together, you get plus 105. And then down in Monterrey, Mexico, we'll start with Donna Vekic, a player that I really enjoyed probably about a year and a half, 2 years ago, but has been struggling with injury consistency since that point. Up until the last few weeks, she's been playing some fantastic tennis, was able to build off a solid finish to last year in San Diego. Struggled a little bit at the beginning of the year, but again, the last couple of weeks has just been absolutely fantastic. Goes up against Yaseline Bonaventure, who was a nice underdog player for us about a month or so ago, but has kind of reverted back to her form of, again, just being a little bit too old at this point and a little bit not as athletic as you need to be to play against some of these women. And Beckett should be in total control of this match, beginning to end. She's minus 425. I had this closer to minus 550, almost minus 600 when I started. And it's tough when you get to some of those higher levels to kind of see what that edge looks like. I mean, the difference, honestly, between minus 500, minus 600 is actually kind of small. So be careful with some of that stuff, but really like her in this spot. We'll put her together with Zhu Lin or Lin Zhu, depending on how your book decides to list the name. The Chinese woman having the best year of her career, really been putting away players like this, and goes up against, another WTA journeywoman in Caroline Dahlheide. She's minus 165. I had this closer to minus 200. She's starting to be bet out. I'm curious to see where this one lands, but again, like both of them, quite a bit. Put them together, you get plus 100. You can put all 4 together if you wanted. I'm not actually sure what that ends up being.
Probably about plus 271. If I had to guess.
I think I like that. I think that's my play here today.
If I had to I don't know. I don't
off the top of my head, plus 271-ish, maybe 272.
I'm looking at plus 306. You gotta go back to that book.
Yeah, I hadn't placed it yet. I just put them in the major card now. I'll go shop that around. The most annoying thing is shopping around parlay prices, because you just have to put them all in and see what it is, or actually sit there and convert and do math. Although, if you're having a good Friday, I'm having a good Friday, because it's not actually Good Friday. That's a different holiday, but that already happened.
What's coming up?
I want to bet while Noops is talking.
Hey, all right. Which one?
You guys were talking about, hey, what happens if one guy makes the cut? Do you get paid?
Yeah.
We'll find out what happens if one guy you bet against withdraws while Noops is talking. Byung-Hun An withdrew. I'd bet against him with Hung Lee. So, he was leading that matchup. I had utter confidence he was going to be able to maintain a 5-shot lead in that matchup. But it's a lot nicer when you don't actually have to worry about, blow up rounds in the wind like this. So, cashed one. We're winning bets. I'm pretty happy about getting one home, and I'm going to take that money and, I don't know, maybe I'll have sushi for lunch. All fish all the time.
There you go. I'm still thrown off from the Florida swing here. I got used to with the California stuff, like golf.
Golf
later,
starting
and,
like at 9-10 in the morning.
Yeah, like last week was. I know it was in Florida last week, but like the Honda was such a bad field, I didn't really pay that close attention to it. But then this week, I just keep forgetting. Like, oh yeah, there's people done with 9 already right now.
Yeah. There's like golfers happening while I'm having breakfast. It's weird.
Yeah.
We'll get used to it. Noops, when are you back in the East Coast?
I'll be back actually tomorrow. We've got one more day here on the left coast. Going to try and enjoy a little bit of sun. It's going to be a whole 49 degrees today, but it is pretty nice to walk around and kind of enjoy things.
That sounds
Anything
good.
fun planned for the last day? Going anywhere special? Just bouncing around?
Just looking to
getting
walk
some
around today, see if we can find maybe a couple nice restaurants, but it should be a nice laid back day after, having to be on all week.
I like that.
Yeah, nobody likes to be on.
I hate it.
I don't like to be on. Like I said, I'm ordering lunch. I'm going to figure out who wins the SoCon and Summit, and then we'll go from there, guys. So enjoy it. Hit a thumbs up on the way out. Appreciate you guys in the chat. Appreciate Alex and Matt and producer Dan and Benny on for pulling out of the API. So we'll see you guys next Monday.